Back. We are joined today by Professor Jeffrey Sachs to discuss the threats now being made by Trump against Iran. So I'm very grateful you could come on because if you're sitting in Tehran, you're assessing threats. Essentially, you assess capabilities and intentions. Now, you would then see this massive accumulation of military force by the United States in the region. You would see the British, German, Spanish, Italians transport plane seemingly heading towards the Middle East. And in terms of intention, it seems that an attack is unavoidable. The Israelis want it, Washington wants it. It's speaking of regime change. And on social media, Trump writes that, quote, "A massive armada is heading to Iran. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose." He then goes on writing that time is running out. What do you make of these threats?
I think it's clear. Well, for Israel, this has been a 30-year effort to overthrow the Iranian government. The United States basically does what Israel says. And so Israel has been pulling the United States into war with Iran and attempting to do that endlessly. It did that last summer. The goal was to create regime change, to have an overthrow. That didn't work. The U.S. then has been using economic instruments, what our Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called economic statecraft, but he laid out the deliberate measures by the United States to destroy the Iranian economy. The idea, again, was regime change. That didn't work. And so now we have a carrier task strike group on its way to attack Iran. So an attack is imminent, I think. The goal here has never been negotiation. Whenever there has been negotiation, Israel has jumped up and down saying, don't negotiate. Of course, a nuclear agreement was reached with Iran a decade ago. The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. It was actually ratified by the UN Security Council Resolution 2231 on the 20th of July, 2015. Then Trump ripped it up in his first term. So there's never been any desire by Israel to have a negotiated settlement. And since the United States does what Israel tells it to do, there has never been a readiness of the United States to have real negotiations with Iran. And Trump proved that again last summer, because we can recall that when Israel, with U.S. support, bombed Iran, which was on the 12th and 13th of June, 2025. That was 2 days before scheduled negotiations between the United States.
You know how you scroll through your feed and you see a really good headline and you click it, you read the article, and it's written pretty well, has lots of...
And Iran. So this whole idea that this is about Iran negotiating is phony. This is a regime change operation that's being carried out through hybrid warfare, meaning you try cyber warfare, you try street unrest, you try crushing the economy, and you try bombing, you try assassinations. They're trying in every which way to overthrow this government. And Trump, being Trump, blasts this out, that, well, if you don't do what we say, this is like Venezuela. What does it say? This fleet is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. You know, it's pure thuggery. People should understand, under the UN Charter, which Trump's deputy chief of staff called a nicety, it happens to be the international law. not for the gangsters in the White House, but for the rest of humanity. It says under Article 2, Section 4, all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. So this is where we are right now, Glenn. I think, of course, we just went through this with Venezuela, brazen, gross threats followed by an invasion, a kidnapping of the president and the first lady, and a claim by the United States that it runs Venezuela, including stealing oil off of tankers and sending that to the United States, with Donald Trump declaring that the money goes to him. So this kind of brazenness and lawlessness is part of our scene right now. But Iran is vastly more dangerous for the world, and still waiting for a European country to say boo about it, to say something, oh, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't have a war. Maybe we should obey the UN Charter. The question for Europe is, does it only speak up when the United States is about to attack Europe, or does Europe have any principles at all? We're going to find out in the next few days.
Chancellor Merz, who said during the first attack on Iran that Israel is doing our dirty work, has now said that Iran's days are numbered. It may be weeks, but this regime has no legitimacy whatsoever to govern. So I think
Wow.
the Europeans are jumping on board on this fully. But
Wow.
Trump also said that now it's time. Now it's time for Iran to make a deal, otherwise we'll hit them hard. What deal is he referring to? We're still back at the nuclear deal? Because this seems very dishonest at this point, because they've already been very open that the goal is regime change, and any regime change, you wouldn't be able to get a unifying opposition. So this is the destruction of Iran we're looking at, which is...
That is correct. There is no interest in any negotiated deal, because negotiated deals have been available for more than a dozen years. And whenever they've been reached, the United States has ripped them up. And Israel has been the chief proponent of ripping up any negotiated deal. And since Trump works for Israel, there's absolutely no intention of any negotiation at all.